MNJ Ayuk, the author of Billions at Play, The Future of Africa Energy and Doing Deals. I am so honored to be invited to speak to you at the LA BookFest. It is equally benefiting that during these times, when we're facing a pandemic and a crisis of this magnitude, you and many writers around the world are tuned in to speak about issues that we believe are really going to transform and shape the world. I've always believed in the idea of writing. I believe it's one of the best expressions of our human experience. I wrote this book because I wanted to put front and center Africa's energy sector. Our African energy sector has had a mixed reviews. Reviews with the past, whether it comes to issues of mismanagement of resources or lack of investment of resources. But we've always seen this industry as a place where we can invite investors to be part of a larger African story. Africa is a continent of dreams. Big dreams that start with people from small towns and small villages and big cities. A new Africa that is being transformed would have to deal with an Africa where we are energy sufficient. In an era where we see climate change, energy transition, movements within the oil and gas market, and solar and other renewables, it is time for Africa to harness its natural resources to profit all Africans and make it work for Africans. And in an age where we find a population that is massively growing, where you see more women become part of that African communities, young people leaving out for jobs and moving into cities and trying to find greener pastures for themselves. It was equally befitting for me to set out to write an African story, but also an African solution, an African direction. That direction that would set out pace for what the future belongs. The future is still African. And so that inspiration, whether going around Africa, in small towns like in Rwanda, in war-stricken places like South Sudan, or in emerging boom towns like Malabo or Port Harcourt or Lagos or Accra, Ghana, or around the Gorée Islands and the cities around it like Dakar. When you go around Africa and you see all these stories and you hope of the dreams and aspiration of many young people and many Africans that dream of a future that is as good as what they deserve, you get inspired to write this book. And that drove me to talk about an African story, but also to provide African solutions that are pragmatic, common sense, and which can be embraced by the market and our traditional friends in and outside of Africa. At Billions at Play, we talk about a big theme, which we come to about restarting a new revitalized African energy sector. The sector had seen a slowdown in investment, but also in today's age, where we see climate change as something so important and so big. We deal with energy transition issues. How is Africa going to deal with issues, big issues, like energy poverty? 650 million people around the African continent are still have no access to power, no access to any kind of electricity. It is not enough for us to just continue waiting for Western nations or for development organizations to provide aid. We offer solutions that we talk about how to move beyond aid, beyond waiting for the West to help us, how we can harness African resources to really solve our energy crisis, to power Africa, create a revitalized economy where we're going to see a lot of manufacturing. But also we deal with new issues around Africa that a lot of people sometimes don't talk about. It's become a taboo. Women in the energy space is something we have to drive, but also deal with our unique relationship with the United States. But all of these things cannot be done without us really creating an enabling environment. With the current pandemic that we have right now, it is affecting Africa in many ways. We are seeing a lot of projects that can really spur development across the continent being put on hold. Whether it is in Senegal, where you're seeing natural gas projects being put on hold, or in Mozambique, which is going to see a lot of American investment, or you're looking at traditional energy producing states like in Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, or even the Congos. But a lot of small projects, whether you're looking at wind projects or solar, that would really provide energy to so many Africans that are really looking for energy to give them a shot in life. That is being stopped right now because of this pandemic. But we're trying to see how we can turn this around. With already lockdown that we're seeing in many small countries that don't have the necessary health facilities to deal with the pandemic. We are faced with trying times right now, unlike the United States that is having also a lot of issues with the pandemic, Europe and other countries. But African states do not have the big war chests, the big treasury accounts where they can bail out industries and take on huge debt and also provide the necessary services to everyday citizens. That has put a lot of healthcare facilities on a real strain. A strain that might lead to more people dying, we hope not. But also a strain in really ensuring that we have the right kind of medication we need, the right kind of protective gear, but also everyday people who are working, whether it is on oil fields or energy platforms or the first responders like nurses and healthcare workers that a lot of people don't pay attention to. That is being affected because of our lack of income. But we think we have hope. As we discuss in our book, if we use our natural resources, we can meet these challenges together and really solve those African problems and confront this pandemic head on. But the low oil prices have really driven a lot of economies. States have had to review their budgets. States have had to really cut down a lot of social spending. And that is really killing a lot of possibility to respond to many challenges besides the global pandemic, but also other social needs that most countries need at this time. That is really a troubling time that we're seeing moving around Africa, especially with the people that have such a strong spirit, that are willing to confront challenges that are bigger than them. There is room for optimism going forward. Because first of all, we are resilient people. We are people that we've come from disgrace to amazing grace. We are people who we've seen the worst kind of disasters and the worst kind of things, whether from slavery to colonialism to even dictatorship that have governed a lot of systems and state growth that should happen to a lot of countries. I still see this industry as an industry that if we apply some common sense practices, some common sense strategies, we can get Africa back to working. Whether it talks about giving extensions to energy producers so they can still maintain the contracts and still deliver on these contracts. Whether it comes to lowering the tax burden and lowering the tax burden on citizens and or deferring payment on small businesses. Whether it comes to creating more opportunities for women in oil and gas, and also building a more transparent system. Because when we have a transparent system and when we really embrace creating an enabling environment, it benefits everyone, whether it is in Cairo or Johannesburg or Dakar or Nairobi. We can grow, and we start with embracing that literary knowledge and using books to transform us, but also build right kind of societies that we all can be proud of. Thank you so much, and God bless you.